Today is Monday, August 13th, and I'm calling the borough meeting to order at 7:01. And Mr. Practice will read the flags.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Mr. Caxton.
Here.
Mr. Lynch.
Here.
Mr. Matheson.
Here.
Mr. White.
Here.
Mayor Davis.
Here. I'd like to start with Resolution 200. Resolution 200, 2018, approving promotion of Patrolman James Lemo to the position of Sergeant in the Borough Beach Haven Police Department.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve resolution.
Second that.
Mr. Caxton.
Yes.
Mr. Lynch.
Yes.
Mr. Maskell.
Yes.
Mr. White.
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
Jane, what's up?
Jimmy, another audience, please?
I, James Leno,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
to the governments established in the United States
to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly
impartially, and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Beach Haven Sergeant,
Beach Haven Sergeant,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, man.
Congratulations. Can you get a picture with the chief?
Did you want to read that?
Get the chief's, got 5 minutes?
Sure.
Yeah.
Motion to
Make a
recess.
motion to recess for 5 minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Yes.
Managers report. Oh, we need to reconvene. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to reconvene.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
7:10. Okay, real quickly, cash receipts in the current fund account for the period of July 1 to July 31 were $341,759.05. Cash disbursement in the current fund account for the month of July totaled $4,507,421.05. The cash balance in the current fund account as of this period totaled $10,740,361.75. Cash receipts in the water utility account for the period of July 1 to July 31 were $309,428.32. Cash disbursements in the water utility account for the month of July totaled $352,086.70. Cash balance in the water utility account as of July 31st was $3,201,098.73, submitted by our treasurer, Sherry Bowler. I have a couple more things. I have a beach patrol report from Mike Lawrence. From July 9th through yesterday has compiled the following numbers. They had 142 rescues, 163 first aids, 451 preventative measures. That includes moving lines, stopping digging, moving swim zones, that kind of thing. From July 9th to yesterday, 451 preventative measures. And year-to-date, we've had 342 rescues, 224 first aids, and 571 preventative measures. To date, we've had $409,085 in beach badge sales. Has slightly increased over last year, so we're pretty consistent with last year. One other item I'd like to mention up front on the table here is the two newest minutes books that we've had restored. These are the original minutes from 1916 and 1917. I try to do a couple books each year to have them restored. So those are there if you'd like to take a look. It's really interesting to go back and take a look and see the bill lists and the things that the governing body did at that time. So they're there for you to look at if you'd like. That's all I have.
And can we have those available in the clerk's office?
Always.
Okay,
Mhm.
good, so that we don't all have to do it tonight.
Sure.
Okay.
That's fine.
Great. Okay, we move on to approval of bills.
I have
Minutes.
minutes. I have an agenda meeting of May 24th, a special meeting of May 24th, another special meeting of May 29th, a June 7th agenda meeting, June 11th regular meeting, June 21st agenda meeting, July 5th agenda meeting, July 5th executive session, July 9th regular meeting, July 26th special meeting, and finally a July 26th executive session.
Is there any questions about the minutes?
No questions. No questions.
No questions.
Is there a motion to approve?
I've had a chance to review the minutes and I'd like to make a motion to approve them all.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Ordinances.
2018-20C, an ordinance amending Chapter 176, Streets and Sidewalks of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, as it pertains to curbs and sidewalks. The purpose is to allow for Belgian block curbing in some instances. Final reading.
Since it's final reading, we're opening the floor to public comment. If you'd like to comment, come forward.
Good evening, Martha Lodge, 122 Second Street. I'm here this evening on behalf of myself.
You can move that up so you don't have to bend down.
Thank you. And also on behalf of HPAC. Jeanette Lloyd would be here this evening, but she's doing a presentation at the museum. But HPAC would like it to be known to the council that we object to this ordinance on a couple of grounds. Jeanette personally knows where they used Belgian block as curbing in a subdivision in Manahawkin, and it proved to be very troublesome. The blocks were always dislodged by the trucks and plows, and it created a great maintenance issue. In addition, HPAC feels that this will interfere with the visual compatibility of the streetscape. If you have one resident doing Belgian block curbing and another resident doing the cement curbing, it's going to look like a hodgepodge. And that will interfere with the continuity of our streetscape. So we do not support this ordinance. We do not see how it benefits the borough. And we would ask council to please consider to go against this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
William Barris, 100 Northwest Avenue. Belgian block costs us more money to do. And the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. I don't know for certain which job Martha's talking about Manahawkin, but Frank Little's concerned, and the reason why Belgian block was removed in the first place was because people weren't installing correctly. If you install Belgian block in the proper concrete bed, it's not going anywhere. It's not cracking. It's not doing anything. The problem we have with concrete curbs is bumpers scuff it. Everything scuffs it. Tires scuff it. When we do a new construction project, we do the curbs early on in the site work so that we can kind of get the site defined and get our paving base in. And then we don't do our paving final until the job is finished and we top the whole job. I've had more punch lists and more headaches repairing chipped concrete curbs, scuffed concrete curbs, cracked concrete curbs. I disagree with the concept of Belgian block, and I came before this board when this was I think we first talked about introducing an ordinance to allow Belgian block. Again, we always did allow Belgian block. But I think the concept was that any installation of Belgian block is to be approved by Frank Little, so that it is installed correctly. And when it's installed correctly, it's a more stable and a better product, and it's always going to look better. Now, I'm not an expert on, is this Belgian block, and is this concrete, and is there a visual impact, and it doesn't look hodgepodge? That's not my concept. I don't understand that. I can't be an expert or speak on that. I can tell you, Belgian block is the way to go, but it needs to be installed correctly. Thank you.
I think that, just to explain, in this ordinance, if somebody puts Belgian block in, they do it at their own risk. So that if there is damage with a plow, they agree to take responsibility.
I don't think plows will damage Belgian block.
Well, they probably won't, but
If it's done
if
right,
it
that's
does,
the whole, and Frank said this to us. He said, if it's done correctly, I mean, I don't want to mention names, but there are people who have done Belgian block, and all they've done, they've stood up Belgian block on top of the road. It needs to be embedded in a 1-foot concrete footing. And what they do is they cut a trough, and they do this all in one operation, and they set the block before the concrete hardens. I gotta tell you, this stuff granite is really hard. You're not cracking it with a plow, you're not breaking it. And if you do, you're replacing one block. It's not, you crack a concrete curb and it just looks like hell all the time. And we decided, I don't know, 15 years ago, I paid $4 more a foot or $5 more a foot to put Belgian block in. There's certain concepts that aren't what I would consider my premium projects, that it's cheaper for me to do concrete curbs, but the Belgian block's a better job, it costs more, and you don't have all the callbacks, and you don't have all the engineer reports, and, go fix this and go fix that, because concrete trucks and paving devices, they crack curbs, and they mark them up, and tires off of cars mark them up, but you can't see rubber tires when somebody hits a Belgian block, you just don't see it. It's really the right way to do it. So.
thank you.
Bill Lucky, Kemford Avenue. The only thing about Belgian block and curb, so we gotta make a decision what you guys want in the town. I mean, that's what it comes down to, doesn't it? They told me I had to have Belgian block, not that I care, but half of my yard is curb, half is Belgian block. That's what they told me I had to have. So I think you guys gotta make a decision what you want in town.
Who told you?
who told you? Oh, when I built my house. Of course, it was a different regime. Forget about this regime.
Right, we're the nice guys.
What?
We're the nice guys.
You're the nice guy. But
Was it
you
in
gotta
was it
kind
in
of,
those journals?
yeah, it's probably in there. But you kind of gotta make a decision what you guys want in town to make it look right. If you want curb, fine. I have no objection either way. But you gotta make a decision. One house has Belgian block, the next guy has curb next door. It doesn't jive.
Thank you.
Think about it.
Anybody else? All right, therefore I close the floor to public comment, and do I have a motion to approve this ordinance?
I'd like to make a motion to approve 20C.
Is there a second?
Second?
Mr. Kexis?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Ordinance 2018-21C, an ordinance amending Chapter 199, Vehicles and Traffic, Part 1, General Regulations, Schedule 12, Multi-Way Stop, Intersections designated of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, for the addition of a stop sign at 3rd and Delaware Avenues. Final reading.
Again, we're opening the floor to public comment if anyone would like to talk about the stop sign. Nobody? Then I close the floor. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 2018-21C.
Second.
Mr. Kexis?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
2018-22C, an ordinance creating new Chapter 213 entitled Regulating and Limiting the Use of Plastic Bags by Businesses in the Borough, prohibiting the use of plastic bags in Beach Haven. Final reading.
Again, I'm opening the floor to public comment. If anybody would like to come forward, please do.
John Wachter, 219 2nd Street, Beach Haven. So I oppose a ban on plastic bags. Not because I like plastic, I hate plastic, I'm very environmentally conscious. But a plastic bag ban does not really achieve the desired result. The desired result is to change consumer behavior and to get people to use reusable bags. What it does is it forces people to use paper bags. Paper bags have a far worse impact on our environment. They produce 10 times the amount of global warming gases, carbon footprint, and about 8 times the amount of bulk that goes into our landfills. So the object of changing behavior changes people to a less desirable result. Of course, it's more expensive for businesses as well, which is another thing that I'm not in favor of, increased costs. But there is legislation right now on the governor's desk which addresses it with a 5-cent fee on all single-use bags, which is a better solution. It's still a greater cost, of course, but it is a fee then that people can choose to pay or not. If they want to pay, that money will be put toward environmental issues. I can tell you that Chicago imposed a ban, I believe it was 2015, which they repealed in 2017 because it didn't work. When they put a 7-cent fee on all single-use bags, they found a 42% reduction in all single-use bags, which is the desired result. Also, I have friends in Montgomery County and Washington, D.C. who have supermarkets, and there they imposed a 5-cent fee on the single-use bags. There, the people that I know in supermarkets saw a reduction of about 60%. So we don't like plastic, we don't want to see it in our environment, and of course, bags do contribute, they're unsightly, but they are a very small percentage of the plastic that's out there, less than 2%. So I oppose it. I'd ask you to reconsider, maybe let the state continue with what they're doing right now. There are some different ideas coming about, but it is on the governor's desk. So I can just share with you what I know, and I hope you take that into consideration.
When you say it's on the desk, did it pass both houses?
What's that?
Did it pass both houses, you mean?
It did pass both houses. It's now on the governor's desk.
Okay, well, I tried to get you here in the past to have this discussion. And, you know, we moved forward because nobody trusts the Trenton answer right now. So, you know, well, I felt strongly by listening to you and some of the people that you put me in contact to. There was multiple meetings here, and, you know, this thing is right now the best thing because it's not going into effect till next year. And if by that time the legislature and the governor signs it, then we'll all be governed by that one.
We won't, Jim. The governor's, the state mandate is that you pay 5 cents for a bag, but the state keeps 4 cents. The store is only allowed to keep 1 cent. By passing this now, we will be, if this is passed before October, the retailer, the grocery store, any retailer can charge whatever they want for the bag. Acme charges 10 cents a bag. They get to keep the 10 cents.
Even till the law goes in?
Yes, because it was done before the state.
Oh.
And my feeling on it is the Surfrider Foundation and Alliance for the Living Ocean, most of the environmental groups don't think that they think the state's just doing this to try to get some more money for the state. None of that 4 cents they take from every 5 cent bag goes towards conservation. It goes to help the state defray their deficit. So that's one of the reasons.
It was originally proposed by Congressman Huddle to be used toward lead remediation in schools. But the most recent is, you're right, it was put into the general fund. But hopefully they would keep it in an environmentally conscious thing, hopefully.
Well, the state's trying to do everything they can to get us more, I mean, they're putting more and more taxes on a lot of things.
Mhm.
I don't know, I mean, I could list you some, but we don't want to get into that right now.
But this seems, John, to be a better, if what Nancy's saying is true about this passes by October, that it's gonna benefit the.
No, there's no preemption in the bill.
The retailer?
There's no preemption in the bill.
Yes, there is.
Oh, I thought there, I didn't think there was.
If this bill, anything passed before October 31st takes precedent over the state.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So,
No state preemption.
the Acme situation will stay as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to keep the 10 cents for
Yeah,
everything.
I don't want the 10 cents.
Well,
I don't want
but if
anybody's money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just want to serve the community and really do the right environmental thing.
Well, the best thing is they already brought their own bag, right?
Absolutely, that's what we want. That's the goal, is to change consumer behavior.
I brought my own bag to Murphy's today.
I do, I use reusable bottles and everything else.
Ron said to tell you that there's no Murphy's bags in our lagoon.
Well, that's good to hear, and if there are, I'll be glad to come and get those. But that's the point is, you know, hopefully we get rid of plastic altogether, because what's out there is horrible.
It is.
Yeah, I'm not an advocate for plastic, but I am in doing the right thing. So, I thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Would anybody else like to get forward and talk about this? Yes.
John Halpern, 319 Fairview Avenue, and President of the East Haven Taxpayers Association. As we have represented at this council previously, the board of East Haven Taxpayers Association has supported the ban on plastic bags. And the main reason for it is counterintuitive to living in a shore community where you're not trying to protect the environment and the marine life. In fact, at our own expense, to piggyback on what John was saying, at our own expense, we produce 2,000 canvas bags that residents can use when they go into the retail stores in an effort to show our support of the bag. And in fact, one of the schools also had a poster contest on trying to come up with friendly posters.
The winner was here the other day.
Yes, and so these are just examples of our association supporting a environmentally friendly solution to the problem.
Where'd the bags go, John?
They're right now at the Maritime Museum. And I'm trying to encourage them to bring some of those bags
That'd be great.
to Barrel
They're
Hall.
very attractive.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Very nice.
That was very-
So again, I'm not a subject matter expert on paper, plastic, but we do strongly believe that a plastic bag ban is the way to go.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward? Therefore, I close the floor to public comment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve 22C.
Second.
Mr. Catskiss?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Rasko?
I'm going to vote yes, but I want to support Mr. Wachter's position. You know, I think that the idea is to make sure that people don't use the plastic bags. I don't know that it's, this is the absolute best ordinance that we can pass, but, so I'm going to vote yes, but I'm going to say that,
It's with reservation.
yeah, just, you know, I take my bag, my Christmas bag from Murphy's to Murphy's. So, you don't use plastic bags.
Good. So you vote yes.
I vote yes.
All right.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
2018-23C, an ordinance of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 199 of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven entitled Vehicles and Traffic so as to regulate the operation of motor vehicles on streets and roadways during flooded conditions. The purpose is to establish somewhat of a no-wake zone along Bay Avenue. Final reading.
Again, I open the floor to public comment. Would anybody like to comment on this? No, then I close the floor. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 23C.
Second.
Mr. Katsas?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Matskel?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Ordinance 2018-24, an ordinance authorizing the private sale of certain property owned by the Borough of Beach Haven not required for public purposes pursuant to NJSA 40A:12-21, conveying the alleyway between the Borough Hall and the firehouse to the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company for expansion of their facilities. First reading.
This is a first reading, so does council have any comments to make or about this?
No comments.
No.
No, okay, so is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 24.
I would second.
Mr. Katsas?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Matskel?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Ordinance 2018-25C, an ordinance amending Chapter 199, Vehicles and Traffic, Part 2, Handicap Parking, Article 12, Schedules of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, updating the handicap parking inventory. First reading.
Again, does council have any comments that they want to make about?
No comments.
No. Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 25C.
Second.
Mr. Katsas?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Matskel?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
2018-26C, an ordinance amending Chapter 77, Curfew of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, as it pertains to beaches, amending the curfew to include beaches for children under 18. First reading.
Again, are there any comments among the council on the curfew?
Yes, I disagree with this
Curfew
on the beaches.
What is the time, curfew time in
It's
the
9
ordinance?
o'clock for kids under 18, but they can be on the beach with their parents. And if they're fishing or doing something constructive on the beach, necking, fishing, but no, if they're doing something like fishing, they can stay on the beach. It's just, this is to try to get these large groups of kids, off the beach, that are sort of harassing some of the neighborhoods.
I'm a little confused there. It says amending the curfew to include beaches for the children under 18.
Yeah, Jim, maybe you could,
Well,
what do you mean?
the idea, in other words, loitering right now includes beaches. If you go to the loitering section, what we're lowering is the time,
Right.
No,
not,
the curfew ordinance did not include bathing beach in the past.
the loitering section did.
So chapter 77-1, hours of curfew established for certain minors, now has a provision that's specific to the beachfront.
Okay. All right, I was looking under loitering, so I thought that we would just,
No,
the idea of this thing
you're amending chapter 77, which
To-
is curfew.
to change the time.
No, we're adding an entire section that pertains to the beach. And that has a time of its own,
It'll have a time of its own.
correct?
It's the only, the kids under 18 can still be driving, coming home from work up to
Midnight.
11.
So
Midnight.
when we go to the,
Midnight.
Sherry, when we go to the code, 77 is going to be one ordinance. There will be a 77-1, which will be different.
Yes, well, 77-1 now is 2 paragraphs where it was 1 before. It's not a separate section,
So it'll
subsection.
say what we discussed Friday, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
So he has from 9 to 10 to clear the beaches.
And the public streets, highways, sidewalks, roads, playground, alley, park, vacant lot, all those other items, amusements, places of business,
Right.
those are midnight.
Look,
Midnight. It's
As
the
it's always been.
beach. The beach is gonna be 9 o'clock.
okay, so that, the loitering thing, I don't know if it's 144?
Yeah, it is,
Okay.
right here.
So that encompassed the beaches, and I just thought we were just changing this to 9 o'clock, the curfew for the beaches.
Just for the beaches for kids under 18.
Do you need more time to review this?
I don't know, I don't want to belabor it. Jim, do you have anything, missing something here? I feel like,
It's not gonna go into effect until
no, till next
September.
year anyway, I know.
This only pertains to the beaches.
Right.
This is for, from 9 PM on, anybody under 18 who's not with an adult or not doing
Right.
one of the activities that's allowed can't be up on the beach. And so there's only certain things that we can do with juveniles out on the road. So the thought is if we close the beaches at 9 PM to juveniles, they'll stop going up there and they'll stop fighting and breaking stuff. And they'll have no reason to go up there. You could be up there with your family. If you're up on the beach, you know, as many of us have been, if you're up on the beach with your family, and you know, it starts getting later in the evening, nobody's gonna go up there and make you leave. It's, as long as you're with an adult.
And I guess, I can't call them up fast enough here, but the loitering thing says, there's a subsection saying the discretion of the police officers, which is really what I've been trying to get. If there's a problem, the police officer knows it, the same discretion we give you for noise and everything else, so it's,
We had conversations with the court clerk on this topic, and curfew is one of the things that we can enforce with juveniles out on the street. We talked about how long it takes if we have to take a juvenile back into the station.
Right, yeah.
It takes 2 officers off the road,
Right.
and generally it takes 2 hours to get, you know, their
Right.
family to come pick them up and stuff like that. We don't want to do that. It's easier if we have something that we could actually, if it actually comes to it, which we don't anticipate. We really don't write many curfew tickets.
right.
The fact that we have a curfew is
a deterrent.
is a deterrent in itself.
That's all we're looking
Well, Jim, but it's your discretion.
Yes.
That's the key words.
Yeah, it's at our discretion. We
Yeah.
rarely write curfew tickets. But this part of the curfew, adding this part, will allow us to then
Have some-
enforce it on the beach. And telling the kids, as they're walking up in groups of 20 and 30 kids
Right.
up to the beach, we can be like,
Okay.
Yeah.
hey guys, if you're under 18, you
Right.
can't go up to the beach. And
That's-
hopefully they just won't show up.
We had this discussion Thursday, and then I met with Tom, Sherry, and the chief on Friday to discuss it further.
Right.
And, you know, this was a little bit different than what my recommendation was after I
Right.
surveyed it. But in his expert opinion, he feels this is sufficient enough, and with the opening of the park down at the other end, with more police officers down there, and the deterrent, they won't even go there, so it may not even be hopefully it's a moot subject next year, plus with the extra officers that we've decided to.
We don't really anticipate writing a lot of these curfew tickets, just
Right.
having it on the books and having something that we could actually enforce if we needed to is enough usually to stop them from even
Right.
doing that activity. So if we can keep them from going up there, eventually they're gonna get used to the fact that if you're not 18, you can't go up there, and we'd rather have them walking up and down the boulevard or gathering in a place where there's not residences. The problem is with
Right.
them being up there in the residential areas, they're disrupting the people who are trying to sleep until midnight because we have no way to enforce it.
And you have more patrols on the boulevard and.
Yeah, we have more patrols on the boulevard, and we're always patrolling down Taylor Avenue anyway in that park because that's a big hangout.
All right, I'm fine with it,
I'm not fine with this at all. I think it's overkill. I think doing the park is the right thing to do. We didn't have as many police officers this year as we've had in the past. Adding the police officers, those are 2 good first steps. I go to the beach. I live 100 feet off the beach. My grandkids go down there. I've seen the neighborhood kids go down there, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. They don't have to have parents down there to throw a wiffle ball or throw a football or to play sports on the beach or fly a kite. And I think you're penalizing the good kids. And what you're going to do is you're going to be creating a situation where parents will say, we can't go to the beach at 9 o'clock because you're going to get fined by the police. I mean, I think this deterrent is overkill. I think you need to do the first 2 things first and then see if it works before you shut the beaches down to the good kids who want to go down there and throw a wiffle ball or play games down there and fly kites. And I think what you're going to find out is all of a sudden you're creating a police state, and I think it's going to be not well received by the public. I mean, I have empathy with the people on Taylor Avenue, okay? I have no doubt about it. But you said in the past, when we had more police officers, 20, 25, this wasn't a problem. This year we made a mistake. We didn't hire a sufficient number of police officers. We have another mistake. We don't have any place for kids to go. Now you're going to create a place for kids to go. I think let's try those 2 steps first before we shut down the beaches and prohibit the beaches for good kids who want to go there and have a good time.
I mean, the buses changed the profile of the kids.
The buses have added the kids to the thing, it wasn't, so.
Yeah, we added the
First-
buses, we knew about the buses, but yet we only had 10 policemen this summer where we should have had 20 or 25. We've talked about this, and yet we didn't do anything about it. And now we're doing something about it, and we're going overkill on this. I think we provide places, create a park situation for the kids to go, and have additional police officers to enforce it. And if, I think 9 to 10 in June, you go down there, I go down there in the evening, you'll see kids playing on the beach.
And that's what, it's at the discretion of the police department. We don't
Why
plan.
should you make it a discretion of the police department? This is a town thing. I mean, I don't want to leave it to discretion. I want my neighbors' kids and my people who are visiting Beach Haven to send their kids to the beach at not between 9 and 9:30 to play wiffle ball and to do things. Yeah, you've got some bad kids, deal with the bad kids, but don't penalize the good kids.
They can still send the kids to the beach.
Are
We
we
have
gonna
we have no problem with kids being up at the beach. It's the groups of 30 and 40 kids they're the ones that we're trying to get off.
But you're passing a law that says there's no kids allowed on
At
the
the
beach.
discretion of the police.
At
Hold
the
on.
discretion.
Let's calm down.
You're not passing it. You are. Are we entertaining a motion to introduce this ordinance or not?
I think we should withdraw the ordinance.
Are you
for
making a
discussion.
motion to
I'm-
table this
I'm making a motion to table this.
till when?
Till after you get back from we have time to really sit down and talk about it. It's not gonna go into effect anyway until after the summer's over. And we really have till next year to deal with this.
Is there a
problem.
second to table this until the next meeting?
I make a second.
Mr. Kexis?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Sorry, what am I?
Voting to table.
Tabling?
No, I want.
No?
No.
Before we table, is there open for a?
No, it's not.
Mr. Maskell?
No.
Mr. White?
No.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to introduce?
Make motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Kexis?
No.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
No.
Thank you. Ordinance 2018-27C, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 199, Vehicles and Traffic of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, in order to regulate parking for electric vehicles, designating parking spaces and establishing fees and guidelines for electric vehicle charging stations. First reading.
So anybody have any comments on council?
No, but we cleared up some things. I don't know if the rest of the council about the fees that we discussed on Thursday. Okay, we have it. All right, then I make a motion to approve 27C.
Second.
Mr. Kexis?
Point
Yes.
of order. Point of order. Can I find out what the discussion was?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said yes, then you didn't
No.
know. Oh,
Yeah, the
okay.
ordinance that was
Let's see.
distributed, we talked about making it a straight hourly and not any kind of scale.
Okay.
What we ended up doing was taking it a flat $2 for each hour for the first 3 hours.
$6.
And from 4 on, it's $5 an hour with no limit. That's the deterrent to get it unplugged as quickly as possible and move your vehicle.
Okay.
And we'll try this for next summer and see how it works, and we can always change it. All right.
What'd you say?
Okay.
What did you say?
I said, well, I mean, if we pass this, and if it works well next summer, good. If it doesn't, we can
Oh, we
Look at that.
Yeah, we can do that without any.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
2018-28C, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 212 zoning of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, adding new subsection 21228A, placement of small cell equipment in telecommunications facilities, establishing a local policy concerning telecommunications facilities, including small cell equipment and wireless poles. First reading.
Well, I had Don brought up some questions about seeing what they look like, what they're
Size.
gonna be.
Did
I
we
mean,
get
have we just, if we haven't got it, then I don't know.
Do we get the size?
the sizes, and we're gonna get pictures of them.
Okay.
You know, that's all we had left it with Thursday.
I've seen them, the boxes that are attached to the poles are approximately 2 by 3.
2 foot by 3 foot?
Yeah, they're small. It's a utility box. It's not as big as 5 or 6 feet as we had originally seen or thought. And then the actual antenna that's at the top of the pole is, you know, maybe also about 3 feet. So there's a big box on the pole about halfway up, and then the small cell is at the very top.
How high are they gonna be?
It only extends about 3 feet higher than the
And the
top of the
poles,
pole.
and pole, okay. Well, what about, we talked about cost and trying to charge them and anything like that?
We agreed that we were gonna increase the fee for the permit to 1,000.
Yeah, okay.
The rest will remain the way it was written in the
Okay,
draft.
fine. Then I make a motion to approve 28C?
I second the motion.
Mr. Kexis?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
2018-29, bond ordinance authorizing drainage and water pump improvements by the water utility in and for the borough of Beach Haven in the county of Ocean, state of New Jersey, appropriating $3 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $3 million bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof for the installation of 3 pumping stations. First reading.
Is there anybody in the council, Don distributed the information regarding?
Yeah, Sherry, can you put that up on the screen? This is something we've been working on for quite a while. When I first came into office, we said we really wanted to study the infrastructure and what causes the flooding in the town. And we commissioned Frank Little to do a study, and he did his study on June, and gave it to council on June 29th. And he also surveyed all the drainage systems in the town with elevations, et cetera, as well as the outfalls. So this is a response to that, as well as a review of what's happening in the industry. Let me just give you some excerpts from the study. As the borough grew over the years, the development of the drainage collection system has appeared to be mostly unplanned and has progressed in a piggyback fashion in later areas of development simply connecting to earlier systems. With little upgrading capacity, some of the pipe systems may be over 80 years old and are undersized today by engineering standards. Many of the pipes, runs, and inlet structures are failing with large cracks or entire sections missing due to a number of factors such as the age of the system, corrosion from salt, and damage from debris. Many of the inlets and manhole structures in the borough are very old and at the end of their useful life. Castings are not up to current standards, are broken, and are in need of replacement. The existing drainage systems within the borough are below engineering standards for the gravity collection, the stormwater runoff. Pipe outlet elevations range from a low of -2.7 to a high of 1.0, which indicate that many pipe outlets are submerged even during normal tides, and again, limiting capacity. When you get your streets flooded, they're coming from the bay. Okay, the water's coming from the bay onto the streets because the outfalls are under water. And when you get a rainstorm, there's no place to go. So it just complicates that situation even more. You got upstream elevations, and inlet grade elevation could be as low as 1.5. So somebody commented a couple weeks ago it was at 2.5. There was no place for that water to go, and not only was no place for the water to go, you're getting water from the bay. So that was the major excerpts out of it. And the recommendations that came out of that study was the use of pump stations may allow the existing D pipes to remain and would combine with inline valves to stop the tidal water from entering the system, and pumps within the chamber to remove the water from the existing drainage system. Essentially what you're doing is you're blocking the water coming from the bay into the system, and then whatever's in the system you pump using pumping stations. There's also a comment on bulkhead drains too, which we ought to be doing as we're upgrading the drains. This is not something new technology. This is something that's being done up and down the East Coast. In August 30th of 2016, Ocean City installed projects like this. They were successful. In January 10th, 2018, they expanded it and did a second section of Ocean City. Brigantine has 3 pumping stations installed. So we're talking about putting 3 pumping stations that would essentially deal with minimizing the nuisance flooding. I'm talking nuisance flooding. If it comes over the bulkhead, there's nothing we can do. But we can prevent the water from coming onto the bay, or at least reduce the amount of water coming onto the bay, coming from the storm drains. Not only did we look at that, what they did is, after Hurricane Sandy, there were studies done by Rutgers, there was done by Stockton College, the Jersey Coastal Research Center, and Stevens Institute of Technology. I reviewed all of those studies. They're talking thousands of pages. Met with Dr. Gal from Rutgers University, who had the most practical applications for small towns. A lot of these studies are really saying the federal government has to come into play and spend hundreds of millions of dollars to do this work. But small towns like Ocean City and us, we can do something to minimize the flooding on the boulevard. These towns have gotten some grants, and we're seeking the grants. These aren't guaranteed. But the $3 million project, we're hoping to get 50% or $1.5 million with the grant fully forgiven. The remaining 50% would be a $1.5 million loan, half of it at 0% interest and the balance at market rate. Verbal from the county, that still has to be confirmed, that because they own part of the system, they'd have to pay a portion of the cost also. And Beach Haven would pay the balance of the loan, which is about $750,000. So whether we get all these grants or not, we need to do something about this. So I strongly propose that we move ahead with this grant and take some action that's been needed for years that we have not done anything about. So hopefully we'll address the flooding on the boulevard finally. And talking to Frank, I know Long Beach Township is doing something similar also. So this is where we're going. We're hoping to get this done. We don't have a schedule yet. It still has to be fully designed. My guess is you're talking 12 months to 18 months to get this fully done. That's it. Any comments from council first?
No comments from council. I want to thank you, Don, for all the work you've done on this. Hopefully it's a great addition, and that we're lucky enough to get the grants, and make a motion to approve 2018-29.
Excuse me, how come we don't get to speak on any of this?
You don't get to speak till the second reading.
Can we speak on first reading only because this is important.
This is very
You can
important.
speak during the public comment.
This is the portion of the meeting where we introduce the ordinance to you. And then you have 30 days to review it until a public hearing. All we're doing is introducing it to the public.
And
We're
don't you
introducing
think that
it
we
to the
should all
public.
talk about
Once
this?
we
No,
introduce
follow the law.
it,
You
once
follow the
we
rules of the
introduce
committee.
it.
Okay.
All right,
We have a motion on the floor. Who is second?
is there a second?
Second.
Who said that?
Roll call. Oh, Tom.
Okay. Mr. Caxtis?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. All right, we're on to the resolutions with the consent agenda. Go ahead.
All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure supported by a certification of availability of funds, and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 193, reauthorizing the National Flood Insurance Program and provide for long-term funding. 194, return of piling bonds. 195, canceling water charges. 196, authorizing the execution of an agreement between the County of Ocean and the Borough of Beach Haven for the CDBG 2018 project, handicap sidewalk, 2nd Street and Dock Road. 198, executing a shared resource agreement with the Township of Long Beach for the use of a street sweeper with operator. 199, returning remaining off-duty police detail escrow. 201, certificate of the 2017 annual audit of the Borough of Beach Haven. 203, approving an additional amendment to the 2018 Ocean County Schedule C agreement. 204, approving change order number 1 dated August 3rd, 2018 for the 2018 fire hydrant replacement project. 206, authorizing the return of a park bond. 2008, Resolution of the Borough of Beach Haven authorizing the renewal and execution of a shared service agreement by and between the Borough of Harvey Cedars and the Borough of Beach Haven for the provision of municipal court services. 209, opposing the economic and fiscal policy work group's suggested recommendation to force consolidation of certain municipalities. 210, approving membership to the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company, number 1. 211, approving a place-to-place transfer expansion for the Marlin. 212, acknowledging managerial appointment to the Land Use Board. And finally, 213, extending the due date for third quarter 2018 taxes.
I'd like to talk a little bit about 2011.
So we should
So
remove
you're going to
that.
remove 211 from consent for discussion?
I think so.
So pull it out, 211. Any others you'd like to discuss separately?
No, just 211.
Do I have a motion on the remaining consent agenda items as read with the removal of 211?
Make a motion to approve the resolutions as read minus 211.
I second.
Mr. Texas?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. Okay, 211, discussion among council.
Okay, so you want to start?
Well, it's my understanding that
He's on his way. He wanted to,
he's on his way.
I think Mr. Batista.
Well, we're not holding up the reading.
Go
so
ahead.
just
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
not asking you to. I'm just
Well,
informing
it's
you.
my understanding that he's asking for the availability of the side of this building,
Front.
the front of the building, across the side, it's front, okay, to serve liquor, or have liquor be distributed out there as part of a waiter type of thing, and I'm in question of that. And I don't think it's appropriate, and I think it'll be the first of many, and I question it very much, and I want other people to talk about it.
Yeah, I said at the meeting, he proposed it, that there's enough places for drinking. He's got the Marlin next door, he's got the alleyway we just approved, he's got 308, and now he wants out on the sidewalk on a very family-oriented street, across from restaurants that don't have it. And I understand that there's other restaurants ready to line up and get the same thing that they have to get serving on alcohol. We have an ordinance now that there's no alcohol served on any street, any place, any car, anywhere within the borough of Beach Haven.
What are the restaurants you want up to? So just
Well, somebody said here that they already have people drinking on their way into the restaurant because they have a time limit getting in. So the ordinance is very clear and was put in for a reason, and I feel that, you know, we're a family-oriented town.
The ordinance says that you can't have alcohol on an unlicensed premise, which is the purpose of his request to
On any
license the premise.
street, in any place in the borough of
If
Beach
it
Haven.
would become part of a licensed premise, like,
That's if it becomes it. What we're discussing is that it doesn't become it.
okay,
Right?
I'm just
It doesn't
clarifying.
say- It says if he wants to have it inside like he has, that's not fine with it.
clarify.
The ordinance says that you can't have it on any street in the borough of Beach Haven. So before you do this, I think you have to change the ordinances before you do it place to place. So, I'm in opposition to approving this place to place.
Well, Michael, I guess you want to make a statement of
Well, he-
what you wanted to.
Thank you for entertaining this, first of all.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to see this go forward. The planner that the borough hired, the professional planner, told us all that it's good to have venues outside. We're a beach town, and it's in the best interest of the town to have people outside. The borough passed an ordinance allowing venues to move their restaurants, to move their tables outside onto the sidewalk in front of their venue, under certain conditions with proper insurance and so forth, and they passed that, and we did that. We took the tables at Triton and moved them outside onto the sidewalk. And not intentionally. Clearly, we didn't know that we were violating any rules by allowing people to take their beer and wine out to those tables. It never dawned on us that that was an unlicensed premise and that the ABC, by their rule, which is a higher rule than towns, restrict an open container from moving onto an unlicensed premise. When we found out this time last year that we were in violation and we were doing that, we then pulled back inside, made the application to, or started the discussion to get to this point. The issue...
Wait a minute, what did you last year? Last year you asked for the outside alleyway.
Right,
you got that.
yes, Jim, and thank you for that. And it was a two-part thing.
This year just, it wasn't a two-part last year.
Well,
This is the first time we've heard it at that agenda meeting. It wasn't last year.
If you talk to the chief of police, you'll find that we had early
You're
discussions.
talking to us now, not the chief.
I'm just telling you what, we knew this wasn't going to be just an easy, make an application and move forward with, because there were complications on the state level. And we wanted to make sure that we understood those and we were presenting them properly. And that took some time for us. It would have been my objective to have this conversation back in April or May, but we weren't ready. All the questions weren't answered and we weren't prepared to move forward. We are now.
What's the question? You have to apply for a face-to-face with the ABC board by being approved by this council.
That is the question. That is the question.
That's what's before us now.
Yeah, there is, the ordinance in place, Jim, is very clear. You're not allowed to consume alcohol on unlicensed premise. No street, no alleyway, no park, no beachfront, nowhere, unless it's licensed. So the Chowder Fest, when they licensed the ball field behind Bay Village on borough property, they're allowed to sell alcohol, and people are allowed to consume alcohol. And when other venues get catering permits to do weddings on unlicensed premises, that premise becomes licensed, and they're allowed to do it. Let me just say one other thing, because I don't want to argue. I really don't. Either this is good for the town or it's not. Let me say that I think Triton is one of the brightest stars in the borough. It's not easy to start a new business, and it's not easy for that business to be successful. On Saturday morning, we had New Jersey Monthly Magazine in at the Triton doing a full photo shoot, which is going to appear in their June edition. That's good for this town. We could not operate Triton selling oysters and shrimp without selling beer and wine. It's the attraction of the craft beer that's making this whole thing work. I think it's unfair for our customers to say you can take your shrimp and your oysters out front, but you can't take your beer and wine. We talked to the chief. We've got a nice plan in place for barricades and corrals. It's good for the town, Jim. It is. And young businesses that are surviving and doing well are the best thing for this town. And we're trying to make the center of town vibrant and alive. And this is a good thing. And so if you find that it is, please move forward with it. If you don't, I really don't want to.
I don't know how closely you've reviewed the resolution, but it's a temporary approval that would expire October 1st, 2018. So we have to go through this exercise.
When his license gets renewed again.
Well, we have to go through this exercise again. He's asking for a trial period, and that's what we'd be granting with special conditions and an expiration.
I'm not trying to push it through on you, Jim. That's why I took the time.
Believe me, you won't push it through on me. You don't have to worry about that.
But I do think our planner says, let's move people outside. This is well controlled. We have young people, old people, babies, parents. It is family oriented. Triton is very family oriented. I don't know what more we could possibly do. It's a great venue for the town, and this is a great thing to help support Triton and to get the full flavor out of the thing. You've got people on the side, that's not so ideal at 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the sun's beating down, and that's why people move to the front. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's not like we're creating a monster.
What are the hours of operation for this?
We've been opening for lunch at 11 o'clock, and we are buttoned up by about 10 o'clock at night. On the weekends, on Saturday night, it could run up into 10 o'clock, but not much more. It's strictly luncheon.
Any other questions for Mike?
Thank
Bill,
you.
were you both trying to speak as well?
I'm supporting this for a lot of reasons. I don't know how the new police chief feels about this, but Chief Kohler had some pretty interesting opinions with respect to this issue. We had police come to the well a few times because our property line is the bottom step of the stairs into the well. So people would walk down the stairs and sit on the benches that we have out front to wait with a drink. And the police would come and say, you can't do that. And it just became, a little bit of an issue. Really hard for us to enforce. I mean, we put signs out front that say, please don't drink alcohol outside. But when you look and you go to Barry's, Barry doesn't own his sidewalk. His sidewalk's all right away, but people bring alcohol there and they drink alcohol outside. And when you go to the Pearl Street Market, people have their own stuff to drink outside. And I'm not sure, and I haven't read the master plan yet, but I did breeze through it, and I thought we encouraged some of this tough activity to make it more friendly within the community. We're not trying to do something that isn't being done. So this was Chief Kohler's answer to me with respect to Parker's, which is really difficult. It's a BYOB, and that building is built on property lines on both Dock Road and on West Avenue. But customers come and we have a long wait, and they have their beer and they're outside drinking with their own beer. It's not our license, but they're doing it. So I asked the chief, how do I address, this was Chief Kohler, how do I address this and stay within the area of the law? And he says, Bill, just put everything in a red plastic cup. Give your people plastic cups, let them drink what it is they're drinking. We're never going to ask somebody what's in the cup. But it sounds like that's don't ask, don't tell. And I think that what Mike's doing, as much as he and I go back and forth on issues from time to time, Triton is a great place. And people do have fun there. And it's no different than the sidewalk of any other establishment where people like to have a good time. And I understand what he's trying to do, and I support it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
My only comment to you, Mike, more than anything else is, we've heard so much negativity about the Marlin, okay, over the years, okay? And people outside drinking. I sort of support the idea of doing something like this, but I'd like to see it shut down at 9 o'clock at night.
The Triton.
Yeah, the train is is a great place to go. My
You want the outside shut down by 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
I have no problem.
I just don't want people hanging out,
Understood.
Okay, fine. Are you making a change to this
We can make that
special
decision.
condition? No?
Yes, I'd like to make that.
Can I speak?
Sure, Bonnie.
I was at the meeting when he came and proposed this. And I went home, it sounded great. I went home and I started thinking about it. Tonight he just said he would close it at 9, but he mentioned the snack bar and people drinking outside in Pearl Street, people drinking outside. And I got to thinking, the difference in my mind is, when you go to a BYOB, you go to have a meal, drink your wine, and then you get up and you leave because you're turning the table over. When you go to a bar and you drink outside, you could stay there for a very long time and they're constantly refurbishing you. So I just don't want this to turn into something, I don't think we need alcohol in the streets of Beach Haven. That's just my personal opinion. I think it's a great store, the Triton. I think he has plenty of seats inside. I think he has plenty of seats on the side. But I just don't want it because, I mean, I thought you were selling. I mean, everything was for sale. And if he leaves and you get an owner that's not as responsible, you already have approved liquor on the street. And I just think there are plenty of other places to drink liquor in town rather than on the street.
We would have to approve this liquor license, and the liquor license every year, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if he changed it, somebody wasn't as responsible.
then
But
we-
I still, I don't know why, I just don't, I just don't like drinking on the streets. I understand there's a lot of laws up in Trenton now where I always thought liquor license in this town was determined by the voting population. So we've always been able to maintain a certain amount of bars according to the licenses that are available. If that changes and they open that up and lots of people get bars in this town and you allow them to drink on the streets, I just think it could be a problem down the road. That's all.
Thank you.
Yes?
Do I need to state my name and all that?
Yes.
stuff? Pat O'Donnell, 432 Dock Road. I just want to say, you know, I don't drink, okay? But I do like going to the Triton with my wife and my kids, and we like to sit outside. And my wife, the only downfall is she can't have her glass of wine. You know, I can still have my O'Doul's because it's non-alcoholic. But I don't think that, I just don't see a problem. As Bonnie was saying that people sit at these tables, the Triton isn't a place you sit at and just get drinks and drinks and drinks after. It's you eat what you're having, you get up, they turn the table over. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Scott Cunningham, 6th Street, Beach Haven. I'm all for this. I do believe it's good for the town. We don't want people walking around drinking. But in front of the building, if we have a problem with this, just put out a rope to a couple things inside that area. That's where you're drinking. If you step outside of it, you're on municipal property or whatever, and that doesn't work. But inside that area, I do believe it's good, 9, 10 o'clock. I believe that the time span, 9 o'clock is still daytime. In the summertime, I don't believe 10 o'clock is unacceptable. And I'll address other things about time, and I believe you were very correct about the beach, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, do I have a motion? Are we, before we
Take any motion, are we keeping it at 10 or are we going?
We're moving it to 9.
Okay, so with it at 9 o'clock, do we have a motion to approve?
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Mr. Katsas?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
No.
Mr. Maskell?
My vote is yes, and I'd like to make just a couple comments. You know, the 9 o'clock is very important, the trial period is very important, and the last time that Mr. Batista was here, you know, we had the chief come and talk to us about having inspected the area and approving the area for seating outside, and so I'm going to vote yes.
Mr. White?
No.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. That does the resolutions.
Right, I have a bill list this evening in the amount of $2,187,843.79.
Is there a motion to approve the bills or any
I
questions?
want to ask you some questions. Wouldn't that mean 8,200 for hydrant rentals? What does that mean?
It is, we rent the hydrants from the water utility. It's really a mechanism for us to add additional revenue to the water utility. I had this discussion with Shari, and she said it's just
And
a
we've always done it,
mechanism. Yes,
obviously.
to show additional revenue in the water utility, yes.
Well, seeing as they're flush, we, no
You should
pun
rent one from
intended.
us.
Maybe we should, should take a look at that. The other one was, we're jumping up on legal matters at 12,463 for Jacoby. Did we have many lawsuits, or are they personnel items? or-
It's a bunch of different things, yes. We have multiple legal matters going on right now.
I know that we have some new ones, but,
Mhm. And, they're also taking over our tax appeal work,
oh,
so
okay.
that's on top of it as well.
All right. I think one more should. Maybe. The asphalt dumpster and 10-yard container for Walsh Field,
Uh-huh.
and the Amber Street 10-yard container, I guess, for pots. What was the Walsh Field that we're digging up these?
We removed that patch.
Okay. All right, I have no other questions.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the bills as submitted?
Second.
Mr. Texas?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. So now we're opening the floor to public comments for anybody who wants to come and speak. Yes.
Hi, my name is Joe Scarra, and my address is 8 West 13th Street in North Beach Haven. I'm not from Borough of Beach Haven, but I'm from Long Beach Township, and last week I was here in front of the Land Use Board. I just would like an opportunity to say a few more comments about what was approved at the 1200 North Bay Avenue, which is the old Petite Furniture or the old car wash. They approved a kennel, grooming, and a outdoor play area for the dogs, 1,000 square feet play area. My property is diagonally touching their property, and that's exactly where they want to put this outdoor play area. The council addressed a lot of issues with the inside of the building. They were going to soundproof it. They're also going to do some kind of urine and feces, thing outside to sanitarily pick all this up. But nothing was addressed about the outside 1,000 square feet dog play area that I will be butt up to. And I find it disheartening that the council approved something like this. And I'd like to reference the mayor, who voted no against it and said that she wouldn't want to live next to that. So I don't know what could be done at this point. I don't know if you guys could help me in any way, but I don't think it was a fair assessment of where I live compared to where this is going to be. I will not have any quiet enjoyment outside. I would like to ask that possibly this play area could be put inside the building, so I don't have to hear it. I just don't understand it. You guys are talking about quiet enjoyment, you're worrying about, liquor outside, this, that, and the other thing, but these are going to be dogs barking outside. 5 minutes of barking is a nuisance, which is going to be a violation. Who will I do? Call the police every time these dogs are barking? I mean, this is totally unfair. And I know that it was approved 5-4. Asking for your help. Could there be another meeting? Could you guys come to my house? Could we get together? I need some help, and I'm wondering what you guys are thinking. Like, who would I call when the dogs are barking constantly? Do I call the police?
Police.
I call the police. And when the police get there, the dogs will be either stop barking or they may not be barking for 5 minutes. I mean, how is this going to get, watched over? I mean, my yard is here and their yard is here. We're touching. Could there be a high fence put up with some sound deafening material? Could there be high bushes put all around? Could there be some concession for this outdoor pen? I mean, this is a residential area right next to it where we all live there year round. People came to the meeting. We all had great reasons that this shouldn't have gotten approved. On Bay Avenue, there's a place just like this, and there's all woods behind it, not homes. So I'm pleading, and I'd like to know what would be my next step. I know the gentleman who's doing it is here.
Have you had any discussions with him?
I have not. I was thinking of trying to, but it's been approved. I mean, this is unfair. I would like to get together with whoever will listen to me so we can try to work this out, but think about it, and if you guys, Mayor said you wouldn't want it, another gentleman here said he wouldn't want it either, next to his house. Well, would you guys want a dog kennel next to your house? I mean, so close that put the kennel, put the outdoor play area inside. The gentleman says he has space for another store. Put it inside, let the dogs stay inside, soundproof the whole building, and we'll be happy. But you can't have dogs outside so close to my property. That's just totally unfair. And I'll be calling the police constantly. And they won't do anything because they're gonna say they're too busy to come.
With the land use board already approving it, there's really nothing that the council can do, but in the past, the developer in this situation has been very willing to meet with the homeowners in the area and come to some concessions, so I would encourage you to do that.
There's nothing else anybody could offer or say about this.
Under the law, we can't do it.
Thank you.
This guy's creating a problem before a problem is even started. We have a dog beach that's at the end of Taylor, and we've had it for a long time. I take my dog there. I'm the one that did that dog beach. And there's 10, 12, 14 dogs in the water all the time. Have we ever had a complaint about dogs barking at the dog beach, running around playing? This is ridiculous. And the reason that the mayor said she didn't like it is because she didn't know that pet kennels are in the ordinance. She wasn't aware of that, and she told me that the next day.
Bill, address the council.
No one told me.
Yeah, but you know what? Okay, it was, and by the way, I wrote a letter today and I withdraw it. But you told me the next day, Nancy, that you didn't know it was there. We have pet kennels in our ordinance. This is regulated so significantly. Dogs, animals, noise. We have 2 chapters in our ordinance that regulate dogs. Don did the right thing. He said, what position do we have to take as a land use board to approve? What conditions do we need to make this palatable for the board? That was the right approach. But we still, because of comments that were made, we have a lot of people that all of a sudden were concerned. We're allowed to have pet kennels in Beach Haven. Where do we put it? If it's not on 12th Street, which is the first street in this town, that, I mean, I hear what this gentleman's saying, but there's not really a lot of residential activity here. There may be a house or two, and I even offered, I spoke to Frank Little, because it disturbed me. I'm a conscientious guy when it comes to development, and I said, I don't think anybody heard what we were saying. The kennels are going to be in the front of the building. There's a masonry wall between that room and the rear of the inside of the building where there will be an inside play area. And I said to Frank Little, you know what, I'm going to get one of those air horns that you buy, an aerosol air horn. You know the ones that make this really loud squeal? And Frank's going to stand outside, and I'm going to stand inside. I won't blow it, just to hear if you can even hear it. But Maria made some really good points. My partner in this application, she said, if we have barking dogs, that means they're not happy. They're upset about something. And all of these kennels are going to have cameras on them. That's what you do now, see, because when you leave your dog in a place like that, people are concerned. They don't want dogs mistreated, and they have the ability to log into their iPhone and
Bill,
see their dog.
Just one comment. I mean, she did say that the dogs would not be outside beyond 7 o'clock, I think.
And that's a condition, and we've
And that's a
agreed to
condition,
it.
so the dogs will not be outside. But I think we ought to listen to what the man said. Maybe we can do something to reduce the amount of noise from the dogs that are, when they're outside.
We're not moving, we're not restricting the outside. He wants to put the dogs inside. That's just, I'm not taking the rest of the dogs.
I'm not saying, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying to put the dogs inside. I'm saying when the dogs are outside, see what you can do, whether with bushes or trees or something, or with a fence around it, or whatever you might be able to do to help out.
We've modeled this after a facility that's in Manahawkin. We've met with the owners there. Our architect, Craig Brearley, has spoken to them. We think, you know, just like anything else that we do, we think it through. And I don't think there's cause for alarm. This guy's sending an alarm bill before there's even a problem. And if there's a problem, we're gonna have to respond because you regulate this so heavily, we're going to have to comply. And if anybody thinks I don't comply with stuff, you gotta be kidding me. I'm very serious about what we do. And by the way, that's not why I got up for public comment. I got up for public comment because I wanna talk about this flood pumps and all this issue because I see the locations that you've selected. And I find it interesting because I think 7th Street is bad. The Pocket Park is underwater and it's really, really terrible there. But to me, and I've looked at this, the second worst spot that I can see is 2nd Street and Pennsylvania. 2nd Street, Pennsylvania.
Well, this should address everything from 12th Street to Coral.
So you think that these systems are designed, that they're gonna be that encompassing to deal with?
Well, it hasn't been fully designed yet, and we're still gonna, and when it's gonna be designed, okay? We haven't fully designed it. We do know that they work, and we are meeting with people from Ocean City to take their lessons learned and figure out what the design is going to be. And the problem, has been exasperated over the last, ever since Hurricane Sandy. We met with the Long Beach Township people. Nancy was there, we met with the county, we met with Mancini, and we met with the police chief. And back then, he said, prior to Sandy, Long Beach Township Boulevard was hardly ever closed down. Since Sandy, at the meeting we met, which was probably 7 months ago, it's been shut down 40 times. And based upon most recent experience, I'm guessing it's 50 today. Because the situation is worsened because you do have higher tides in the bay. And it's worsened, so whatever problems we had, it's become a more serious problem than it ever was before Sandy.
High tide, full moons are really bad. And it used to be that a high tide, full moon was one thing, but now it seems like every high tide we have a problem. And my only question here is, you've picked 3 spots, and if the answer is 5, then we should be doing it all. That's my only, I think if you do this, this is important. And you're right, the only reason that we have flooding is because of tide waters. It's got nothing to do with the rain, I don't believe.
Rain has no place to go.
It could be no rain outside, and there's 2nd Street right outside of Morrison's Ship Store. You need waders, it's like 18 inches deep in the street right there. And that's a bad spot. I mean, there's other spots, I look sometimes at the catch, and obviously I'm looking, I've seen, it comes in the door of Parker's, but it doesn't do any damage. It's only in our little, first foyer area. I've seen catch, it gets like right up to the thing. But, it's an issue that if there's a couple more locations that we need to do, we should do it all, because everybody in town needs us to do this.
It's a work in progress. I mean, we gotta meet with them, Frank has to do design. I'm sure as we're doing it, we're gonna learn things too. Maybe we start with 3, maybe you have to add a 4th or 5th for another ordinance in the future, but we gotta figure it out first.
But I'd like you to take this on with the energy that you do some of the other things that I don't think you should have the energy to do. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Cunningham, 6th Street again. I didn't want to speak tonight, but I'm going to. I've been here all my life. I remember Chuck from when I was a kid. Nancy, I've known you've been here forever. We had grass in this town at one point in time. Grass absorbs water. I believe that we were speaking about Ocean City. They have just introduced an ordinance where it's a requirement to put grass on your property. I don't know what the percentage is, but grass does absorb water. I've been on 6th Street for over half a century. There were 8 houses from Beach Avenue to the boulevard. I'm on the boulevard, all 8 houses had grass. I never had flooding, never had problems. Now they're all stone from all the way up. When it rains, the water runs downhill, I get it. Have you ever heard of the saying, pave paradise, put up a plastic box? Well, what we're doing is covering all the land with concrete, and then you wonder why there's flooding. I'll give you a scientific, also the glaciers are melting, and the mid-Atlantic coast is sinking. This is a fact. That is also contributing to why we have flooding. We need, for every new home in this town, require that they put grass in a certain percentage to absorb water. It would help. I'd like to also address you, sir, on, what was it? The beach at night. 9 o'clock's ridiculous. I mean, you're 17 years and 10 months old, you're going to war in 2 weeks and you're not allowed to go to the beach. Come on, we all grew up going to the beach. If you didn't go to the beach and you're from Beach Haven, you missed it. But I'm not into gangs on the beach. I can understand these people's problem. We don't need as much law enforcement in the daytime ticketing elderly women or elderly men or people my age. I don't think myself elderly. But we need more people, law enforcement, on the beach at night for the gangs, and I agree with that 100%. The mercantile license, I don't remember any of you being here that night, but I was here. I call it the mercantile tax. It was a tax put in to protect us at night for law enforcement. I know it goes into the slush fund now, but I believe we should divert all the mercantile money. That's what the tax was for law enforcement at night to protect us. And we can put more law enforcement on the beach. It's not that difficult. It would help us out. Thank you very much, and you ladies and gentlemen have a great night.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Therefore, I close the floor to public comment, and we have final remarks by council.
No, nothing tonight.
Sure.
Nor do I have anything tonight. Yeah, I just like to, I saw the police activity report today again, and it's a 3-month report, but I think kudos go to the police department for a very, very tough job that they have, day or night. And it's a difficult town for some reasons, and other reasons it's not a difficult town. But I really give them kudos for the job that they're doing. And it's a very, very hard job here in this town. And I think that they shine out as they should. And I really congratulate them for doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Don?
Just one fun comment for people, you want to have a good time, come to the pickleball tournament in the park this weekend. There's people from many states coming there. There's going to be 120 competitors, and Woohoo is selling ice cream and hot dogs and stuff there, so come on over. It's Saturday and Sunday, and any money they make is going to go to Coastal Volunteers in Medicine, which is very close to my heart. And so enjoy yourself, come down, and learn about the game. It's a lot of fun. That's it.
The only final remark I have is I think we're all very lucky to be able to spend our time in Beach Haven. And we really do have employees here that work really hard to maintain the beaches and the streets. And I think we should try to thank them. Public Works is doing a marvelous job. They're building things. They're not just cleaning, collecting trash, but they're building things. They're saving us a lot of money that we don't have to go out to other people and pay prevailing wage. So when you see these guys, they're really friendly, they're really nice. I thank you. The beaches are so crowded, it's hard for me to believe how crowded they are, but they're still clean and they're nice, and the water's been great, and the lifeguards have been doing a super job. There was an article about how good the Beach Haven guards were in this week's Sandpaper. So I think we are very, very fortunate to have such a great group of employees, including the police and everybody, and our wonderful clerk and assistant clerk. We're very, very fortunate, and thank you very much for coming to the meetings and supporting us and giving us your ideas. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Aye.
Jim, I need you to sign.